What's up, everybody? Jack here from Half Chrome. Today I'm talking about this. This is actually a really exciting little quad. This is the GEPRC Thinking P16. I'm not sure what they were thinking with the name, but I do really like this drone. Now, this is kind of like an evolution in drones of sorts. This is a whoop, as you can see, but it's a digital whoop. It has the DJI digital Caddx Vista system with the new Nebula camera on board. So, I'm a whoop guy. I love these things. What do I think about this? Stay tuned. All right, so let's talk about what you have here. This is a whoop, right? We have these ducted designs, and these are more prop guards than anything else. I don't know how much efficiency they add, but they're nice either way in terms of flying indoors, and you can fly this thing inside and out. A whooped drone is nice for that purpose. It's small, it's not super noisy, and it's definitely a lot safer than a bigger quad. So we've got a whoop, right? Whoop style frame. We've got 40 millimeter props. It's 79 millimeters from motor post to motor post diagonally, and it's 64 grams. That's pretty darn light considering it's got the Caddx Vista system on board. Now, there is an all-in-one board. It's a 12 amp F4 ESC flight controller combo, and the only other thing on here on mine is the Caddx Vista. Now, the Caddx Vista is connected to the Nebula, which is different than the original Vista design. The original Vista, like this one, had the standard camera that came with the DJI Air unit. This one's smaller and lighter. Now, the motors on here are 1103 8000 kV motors. They do a really nice job of getting some power going on this thing. I tried a couple of different battery configurations from 552S to 300 3S. I found the 300 milliamp hour 3S battery to be the best. It's a little bit lighter and gives you a little bit more punch. Now, they say about 4 minutes of flight time. My flight times were hovering right around 3 minutes, a little bit more. XT60 connector on the back, and we can adjust the camera angle. Now, I did not get mine with a receiver. I use the Caddx Vista as my receiver, as well as my VTX, right? So the Caddx Vista does a lot of different things. You could add your own receiver and fly with your Taranis or your Spectrum or whatever it is that you fly with. But with a whoop like this, I highly recommend, if you can, right, saving weight, opting to use just the Caddx Vista as both the video feed and the transmission signal. The transmission signal coming out of the DJI digital feed is actually really good, right? This is so nice to fly, right? If you've flown analog before, you get those lines, those breakups, and I'm not saying that digital FPV is perfect, but it's a whole lot clearer and crisper. Now, when you're flying one of these, it will break up, but it kind of degrades along the sides, right? If you have focus mode on, so the middle of your image stays clean where the outsides start to break up. Now, you will get some frame dropping, right? If you're flying, I had that happen in between houses where I did get a little bit of stutter, and that's kind of scary because the picture's freezing, right? Instead of snow, it starts to freeze. But, you can turn your OSD on, and that's helpful to kind of see when the latency starts to increase, that's going to start happening. But as long as you can see the drone, you can still fly the drone if you're using the DJI digital FPV system. Now, you can fly this thing inside and outside. It's actually a little big and heavy to fly indoors, but I found it fairly docile on a 2S battery. That's what I'd recommend. And fly in angle mode, just a little bit easier to maneuver inside of a home. Now, outside, flip the switch to acro, get a 3S battery, and you can rip right away with this thing. Now, I had a scare on my very first battery. I was flying this thing in acro, lost control, and ended up dropping it in a kiddie pool. Went black right away. Unfortunately, that video didn't come out either. But yeah, this thing hit a pool. I dunked it. Did it survive? Yes, it did. So if that happens, right, if you get your electronics wet, disconnect the battery in the water, take it out, dry it, use a fan, dehumidifier, silica packets. Do not put it inside of a bag full of rice. That's just a bad idea. Dry it out thoroughly, right, completely, 100%. Wait a couple of days, make sure it's clear, then plug in a battery. powered right up. So, you know, I don't recommend dropping this in water, but it doesn't always mean the kiss of death. In fact, this thing survived to fly again. I was so disappointed because that was literally my first battery pack. Or was it my second? Might have been my second. Either way, it was early, right? Since then, I've got in plenty of packs. You can see lots of green on these propellers, but it is a fun little drone. I love whoops, I love toothpicks, and I love that we can start doing these digitally now. Inside the box, you get a couple of extra goodies from GEPRC. GEPRC is a reputable FPV company, and they've been in the biz long enough to know they need to give you some extra things to make your flying experience the best it can be. Extra set of props, super useful. Handful of extra zip ties, some battery straps, some extra screws, screwdriver, and a better antenna, right? So a circular polarized antenna. If I wanted to put this on, I could. Now the disadvantage is it's a little bit heavier. The advantage is I'm gonna get a better signal out of these versus the linear antenna that comes installed. And it is just a UFL connector. I also get a handful of stickers in the box. Now the disadvantage of it being heavier is it's not going to perform quite like something like this, the Mobula 6, nor will it perform as well as a toothpick, right? These ducks, doing acro and things with ducted drones is kind of difficult because as you come out of maneuvers, flips, and rolls, it will tend to get something called yaw washout, where the drone kind of pivots or spins in a way that you didn't want it to, as the turbulence or whatever it is in the airflow causes the drone to kind of twitch. So just kind of keep that in mind. Anyway, this is awesome. Having a digital FPV whoop is fantastic, and the hobby is moving forward. It continues to evolve, and this is exciting stuff. Hopefully that was helpful. If you haven't checked us out on halfgrown.com, go ahead and do so. We've got everything from photography to FPV. Hey, good luck and happy flying.